And welcome to Charlotte Sports Today, everyone. I'm Chaz Bryant. Coming up in this hour, we've compiled some great behind-the-scenes footage for some MMA fighters. Some of these guys are amateurs, some of them pro, but they put in a lot of work to get what they're at right now. So we're going to, right now, give you some glimpses into some stuff that happened earlier this year via the Fight Lab fight that was held in January and the Elite Championship cage fighting fight that was held this past February. Sit back and enjoy this glimpse inside their world.
T always tells me I worry about him too much. Well, I was sick with worry when he came home from Afghanistan, because he came home wounded. Not a wound you could see. It was post-traumatic stress disorder. My T couldn't sleep. He was angry all the time. Then I heard about Wounded Warrior Project. Now, I don't know everything they do, but my T is smiling again.
1 out of every 5 warriors return from the battlefield with post-traumatic stress disorder. Help support them at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Welcome to Charlotte Sports Today. This is a premiere edition, and the star athletes are you, Charlotte, the Weekend Warriors, the men and women who play in the local park fields, whose work goes largely unnoticed by the local television. Charlotte Sports Today will do our best to bring you the events not covered by the local media. From the flag football games to the local basketball tournaments, we'll be there for those. Also the local mixed martial arts events who showcase the local fast rising stars of us. All will be seen right here on Charlotte Sports Today. It's a cold, early morning in a discreet, nonchalant business park. Dennis and Paiva begins his day. Paiva is alone, for the time being, stretching, warm-ups, and soon the sound of an instructional CD will guide his wee hours.
Right straight, right straight, right straight, right straight, left hook, right straight, left hook, right straight, 3. 3 hooks. 3 hooks. 3 hooks and a right uppercut.
I come from a family of nomads, I like to say. We've been all over the place, but I was born in Brazil, so I'm originally Brazilian. I speak fluent Portuguese, but I came to the States when I was 5. We lived in Maryland for a year. We lived in Florida for about 6 years. I've been in the Carolinas for about 10 years now.
Paiva is a rare bird. First fight, win. Second fight, rain out. Third fight, title shot.
Well, for me, fighting, the reason it took me so long to get back in the cage, I fought last January 29th. My next fight will be this January, the 26th, is that I go to school right now. I'm currently going to Appalachian State University, and it's hard for me to train full-time and go to school full-time. So when I try to fight is during the summer or during winter breaks. So I fought last January, and I was supposed to have a fight this summer where, you know, they had 10 fights on the card. I was the 7th one up. They got done with the 6th, and as I'm walking up to the ring, they canceled the fight. They canceled the card due to rain. So I was supposed to have 2 fights by now. Like I said, I have to work around my school schedule. If I try to fight during school, it gets in the way of training and it gets in the way of school. So I'd rather do one at 100% than either or, at 75%, 80%.
It's that type of commitment that makes it no wonder he's one of the most respected young fighters in the sport. Paiva credits his fortune to the training he gets at East Coast Fighting.
East Coast Fighter is basically broken down into 2 main components, which is the Muay Thai and the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. The Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is under the head instructor Paulo Mushu, which we're under Roberto Traven team. So Paulo Mushu's a 3rd-degree black belt now. He's been training in Charlotte for as long as I've been here, which is about 8 years now. And we get really some top-notch instruction. We have a lot of, we have a couple of brown belts, maybe 5 purple belts at this point. So the guys I get to roll with here are pretty good, and kind of give me a run for my money every time I come here. Then the Muay Thai is basically, I think as far as I know, probably one of the best Muay Thai instructors in the East Coast in general. He's Crew, or James Armlin. He's a police officer here in Charlotte, and he competed in Muay Thai, in Thailand for a while, and he knows this stuff. He's been there. He goes there every year, and he spends probably a month or a couple weeks out of the year basically training in Thailand, and he's a certified Crew, which is a Muay Thai instructor under the Muay Thai Fighting Association. So.
Well, he's an easygoing guy, but I wouldn't want to be across the ring from him. Maybe standing up, but not going to the ground. So, he's an easygoing guy until it comes time to get into the ring, and then his personality changes a little bit. But if you come here at the school, he's a nice kid. Dennison was brought in by Paulo Mushu, our Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu instructor. He's kind of, I kind of see him as like a younger brother, nephew kind of thing. He's like part of our family, so that's how I kind of see him at this point.
Paiva will return to Appalachian State before the fight, returning to his study. But the fight won't be too far from his mind, combining the two for a few short weeks. Crosstown Matthew, Paiva's opponent, Brock Ice, has made an hour-and-a-half trek from High Point, North
Wednesday we
Carolina.
review what he did on Monday. Friday we have no-gi, Saturday open mat.
Today, an impromptu soccer game has broken. That happened in the dojo, Custódio, Brazil. Under a cloud of heat, Ison makes the game-winning goal. Now the sweat has started. It's time to get down to business. Ison, the reigning champion, trains at an Evolution Fight Academy in High Point. However, for the past few weekends, he's traveled south to get a little more instruction under Dave Mansell and the Satsuma Spiders. The gym has become a hub of activity for the past few weeks, with matches being shared with local standouts J.J. Brandon, Salah Hemingway, Jordan Ronaldo, and Dewan Oaks.
But you got out. As soon as you bump, back out. Get it back in. You can't sustain it. You can get halfway up and you suck it back in. Make your hips. It's not on top, you just gotta move. That's good.
Brock, look at where Zeb's elbows are at right now. You see what I'm saying? There's nothing to attack. There's no pockets between his elbows or ribs. It makes it really difficult.
I've been looking forward to it a lot for a while now. It's about the only thing I think about.
Start punching.
How are you gonna hit me? You haven't really been hitting me with it. Jump forward. Yeah. I'm not like, ooh.
A lot as far as jiu-jitsu goes. It's definitely like double my game. I'd say I'm definitely ready for this fight. I was 11 Bravo infantry. I served in the 1st Ranger Battalion, 4 years, did 2 deployments, one to Iraq, one to Afghanistan. It's something I've always really wanted to do, but I was in the military before, and not really an opportunity to do it in there. And then as soon as I got out of the Army, I was training a week later, and it's definitely what I want to do for the rest of my life. It's been about, I'd say about 18, 19 months I've been training. I've only taken about 6 weeks off during that entire time.
Stack him, stack him, stack him. back and drive your head to your hands. Don't lift up. Don't lift up. Pump your elbow out. There you go. There you go. You're out. You're out. Good, Greg. You're out. Good, Bob. Greg, good control, man. Good control. Put two in block. Turn to him. Knees back in. Knees. Yep. Move.
If it goes there, you know, I mean, I know what to do. Stay calm. Pretty much any position you put me in. I'm ready. Submission defense is there. I don't really see him submitting me, especially after we get all sweaty and shit. You know? It's kind of hard after the first round. And if he gets on top, I don't see him striking too much. From what I see, he's a pretty pure grappler. So I'm ready for it. Get back on the feet where I want it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. You could pull the other guy's pants off if he doesn't tire.
Skills-wise, as far as fighting goes, they didn't really do too much combatives. They did a lot of shooting guns, stuff like that, tactics, stuff like that. But definitely got me the mentality. I'm fearless, you know. I'm ready to go. I'm definitely not scared to do anything in the cage, and I'm definitely driven to work as hard as possible to get where I need to be in this sport.
I'll perfect it.
That's what I do too.
Brock Eisen, phenomenal athlete. I mean, this kid looks like he was cut out of some type of Greek mythical comic book or something. He's just a phenomenal athlete. He's young. You know, I think he's young in the various arts of fighting. He's young in his boxing. He's young in his wrestling. He's young in his jiu-jitsu. But, you know, he has this just overbearing physical strength, you know, that really makes him a problem.
You don't need cable to watch CMAP TV. Local content anytime, anywhere. Online at www.cmap.tv.
It's a Sunday afternoon at Arikion Hot Yoga, in the shadows of uptown Charlotte, and a gaggle of young persons are tumbling, flipping, and contorting themselves under the direction of Clay Reynolds. And in a jungle of dizzying backflips and stomping feet are Corey Von Egedy and Kenneth Crowder. There are firsts for both Von Egedy and Crowder. On the 26th, after 3 fights in no less than 6 months, Von Egedy will have his first title fight, while Crowder, dubbed Pit, will start his professional career as a mixed martial arts fighter. Clay Reynolds was born with wrestling in his blood, as his father was a state champion in high school and on the collegiate level. Clay himself has competed on the international stage.
It takes a long time to correct mistakes that bad coaching has given a guy. So if I get a guy, maybe he's even a decent, so-called decent wrestler, he comes in and we haven't had him for long, you'll start seeing huge mistakes. It takes 10,000 reps just to fix those mistakes. So, you know, with a guy like Corey, I like to have an athlete. We're going to start recruiting a lot more football-type players, guys that are just good athletes, you know, that have the work ethic, that have been around a program, but maybe just don't know how to fight yet. I mean, he's just a baby, really. He's only 21. He'll be 22 next month, I think. He's a full-time college student, so he's really disciplined. He comes in here, he's got his shakes, he's got his meals prepared already for the whole day. As far as a fighter goes, he comes with no combat sports background at all when he came to us. I mean, his brother was one of our wrestlers, and I've been training his brother for a long time. But Corey's been really in combat sports for only a year. He was a football player in high school, like a really excellent, football player, but he didn't have the size to go on to the next level. So we're lucky to have him. We think it's an advantage with the pro style rules. We know that we can get kicked or kneed in the head, but that's not a big deal. For him, one of his, with the weapons, with the elbows, or something that as wrestlers, we love the idea. You get a lot of jiu-jitsu guys that want those elbows banned in MMA because they cut you open. But wrestlers, we like to mix it up and throw the elbow in there. So, for that, and then the rules change for Crowder going pro is he can weigh in the day before, which allows us to make 125. He's 5'0". So he's basically a 25-pounder. He's fought guys that were significantly bigger than him. His one loss was a guy from Maryland who was a very, very big guy. So for Crowder, 125 is a good weight, and the UFC's adding 125, so you're going to see a lot of talent in that division soon. So we're really excited to be getting it on 125 right now. He's a smart fighter. He takes his chances when they're there, but he's not out of control. If you see him in the locker room, he doesn't fight angry. If you see him in the locker room, he's back in the back sleeping until we get him ready to warm him, and he sleeps for a good 2 hours in the back in the dressing room before every fight. So he's methodical when he fights. He'll take the chances when they're there. Now with the elbows, I think you're going to see a little more of an aggression from the top. We're going to try to cut people open with our elbows, with our striking as a pro. So we're excited. Like I said, I would consider Crowder a very, very smart fighter. If you watch him fight, at least once in every fight he fights, he'll drag his opponent into our corner. And it's like a crocodile bringing a carcass underwater and drowning him. He drags them into our corner where we can basically whisper to him, Crowder, do this, Crowder, do that. And he's unbelievably good at doing what we tell him to do, and he implements it to a T. The only thing he didn't do was the last fight when he pulled guard and choked the guy out, which stunned us. We hadn't seen that out of Crowder, but his submission wrestling and jiu-jitsu's gotten significantly better in the last few months. So I think you can expect to see Crowder start finishing some arm bars from top.
It's a short 5-minute drive from Arikion to Evolution Gym, where Team Renegade holds their practice. Pure aggression seems to be the team's motto. Today, Jeremy Arell is conducting class. On the 26th, 5 members of Team Renegade are scheduled to fight, 3 amateurs, 2 pros. The pros haven't appeared on the Fight Lab card since August, but they look to make a big impact.
Well, the reality of the situation is this, and I hate to even have to say this, but because no one likes to admit it, but in our young sport that's only 20-some odd years old, the UFC is the only one making bank. So they're the only ones that can afford to do all pro shows as often as they really want to. So number one, it comes down to a financial issue as far as why we're doing the pros now. We're finally in a situation after 20 shows, where we feel comfortable at this venue and with our ticket sales and our fan base to be able to give these pro guys an opportunity to come and showcase their talents, especially the ones that have bled for us, as amateurs.
Joe Carroll is a seasoned pro, and he's been a part of 2 Fight Lab shows as a professional. Looks to return to the cage after nearly a 5-month layoff due to an injury. Right now, Carroll stands at an even 5-5, facing an opponent in Curtis Cloward, who stands at 0-3. And Michael Leah, who's been a part of 5 Fight Lab shows as an amateur, turns pro on this card, facing a skilled opponent in Kevin Front. Both Leo and Front have stacked up an impressive 20-8 record in a collective 5 years of experience.
Who am I to say what skill set is really better than the other? You know, as far as the matchups, I'm looking for, you know, what's going to be interesting, what's going to be a good fight. I don't want guys laying in there on top of each other like a 1970s porn movie. So, you know, I'm looking for excitement and somebody's going to get in there and bang.
While the skill sets are there for an awesome fight, the skill sets to handle Facebook may be a different story.
Well, I think a lot of the people that were, I want to say, that had my back on that thread were people that have trained with me and have really seen what I'm capable of. I think if you've seen me compete enough, I think you'd have my back too. I guess it's proven, like I said, I don't really like to say that I'm all that, but I mean, you look at my track record, you look at what I've done, who I've competed against, and how I've fared off. I think you'd say I'm pretty good at what I do. So, and in a sense, I'm kind of glad to see that people feel that way about him too. So I guess we'll have to see what really happens. But like I said, I think I've competed at a pretty high level at just about everything. Well, I definitely take fighting very seriously. Like I said, I wouldn't do it. I can't half-ass my training and go in there and fight. And basically, my biggest reason for going at 100% when I train is that I don't want to have any excuses if I lose. I don't want to say maybe I could have trained harder, maybe I could have done this differently. When I lose, I want to know that I did everything I could have done. But the reason, I guess, I want to fight professionally. That's my main goal. So these amateur fights are almost just like getting me ready for my professional bouts. But I want to do that once I get out of school. I'm not going to turn professional until I'm finished with school. So I have another year to go. And right now I'm just kind of getting my amateur fights out of the way. So when I graduate, I'll go pro.
It's a packed Arikion tonight, and New Year's resolutions and local offers have brought a crowd to the gym. And tonight, Corey and Kenneth will help Clay control the soon-to-be sweaty masses. Warm-up, circuit training, and of course, yoga.
Okay, circuit people, go! Yoga for us has been a huge help because, you know, our fighters all take it, and it's good for their weight control, it's good for flexibility, strength, it's also good for calming them. You know, and for Corey, it's a good dichotomy of, you know, you've got what you think of like a yoga, and even though yoga is fairly challenging, you don't, you know, it's not what you imagine when you think yoga. You think kind of, you know, you think girls in yoga clothes and they're stretching out. They're not really doing hard work, but it actually is really hard work. And Corey, to be a fighter and a yoga teacher is awesome to have. You know, Crowder teaches classes here too. He just doesn't teach the yoga classes. He teaches circuit classes. So does Corey. So it's really cool to have guys like that. And I think one thing that differentiates our yoga from other people, it's an athletic yoga. And our people, when they come in here for yoga and they have a fighter teaching them yoga, they really appreciate that. I mean, they can understand that, hey, I'm in here and this is a tough, I mean, we have NFL players that take yoga classes here. So it's not like it's definitely a little harder and a little different than a lot of people think.
The 9/11 Memorial is for my 343 brothers who didn't make it.
And for my brother.
This shows the world that we can rebuild.
And that we are strong.
It's for the heroes like my dad.
This year, the National September 11th Memorial opens in New York City. Join us to honor, remember, and reunite. To learn more or to reserve your visit, go to 911memorial.org.
What you are watching is called free television. It's part of a system born 50 years ago that is unlike any other in the world. Through your free TV window, you've been witness to triumph and tragedy, to love laughter, learning, life. It's offered free to all, even the cable systems that carry it. Imagine the impact if it were gone. Join us in the coming months as we celebrate and stand watch over free TV.
It's been almost a full year since John Henning has been in the cage. And the 22-year-old is primed. Training at Gastonia's Team Body Quest under Alan Greenway has made him eager.
I'm excited. I haven't fought in 12 months. I'm looking real forward to stepping back in the cage. And since then, I've just been working hard on my wrestling. That's been my weakness. I've been trying to take down the fence, over and over and over and over and over.
John, he looks excellent, man. I mean, you can look at the kid, tell he's an athlete. He's a very athletic kid, former basketball player, and real good at making angles, and real good with his footwork. He's almost impossible to hit. Everybody gets on to me about him sparring and fighting with his hands now, but I can't help that. That's his thing, that's his style,
Right now, John Henning has an 0-2 record. 2 opponents, Kyle Shano and Antonio Woodward. 2 fights that went to judges' decision.
Get him off to the side, get him off to the side. Watch out, he's gonna try to kick you up.
In that fight, I think I rocked him in the first, and then, all my game planning, everything went out the window. I was just trying to wing right hands at him, and he was ducking under me and taking me down at will. So this time it's just following the game plan, just listening to Alan in the corner and staying under control, not letting my emotions get to me.
However, it's been a learning curve transitioning to MMA. And right now, Henning and his coach, Alan Greenway, feel they're on the right track.
Oh, he's taught me a ton. I was always a basketball player, in high school, so I started doing jiu-jitsu first, and I've learned, I can't believe how much I've learned in the last 3 years training with him. I always hoped to play in college basketball, and my grades were never high enough. And then my friend was training with Alan, and he said, you need to come try this out. I just love being an athlete. I love competing, and I just fell in love with the sport.
He's come up as far as how well-rounded he is. Of course, training here, he's going to have great striking, and we focus on that. But like I said, we have one of the best wrestling coaches in the state under Kane Beard. He actually coaches out at Rock Hill right now, but he's a former 16-time state champion wrestling coach. But he's really good. He works with all my guys here, and he helps them out tremendously. And I really, honestly can't wait for somebody to get to see the real John Henning, who he truly is.
Well, I'm going to try to keep the fight standing, because I feel like that's where I'm most exciting at. So I'm going there and try to knock him out. It's pretty much the game plan for every fight. So.
At Dime Boxing, Kevin Front is doing some last-minute fine-tuning. Under the guidance of Paul Boo and Team Highstar, Front is looking at his second win as a pro.
I'm looking real forward to this fight. It's an exciting fight for me, my second pro fight. I want to get off, my pro record off to a good start. 2-0 I'm looking for.
Kevin was scheduled to fight in November. However, the cancellation of the show made his return to the cage just a little bit longer.
I went through a whole fight camp to get ready for a fight in November. It got canceled. I barely took any time off. Maybe relaxed for a week or two, and then got right back into things. So I'm pretty excited about getting back in there. When you work hard and then something doesn't come through and the fight gets canceled, you're not real happy about that. So, being able to put another full camp together and a fight, about a week away, I'm pumped. I'm, real excited.
But getting training at Highstar under Paul Boo and at Dime Boxing, the intense training makes the fights seems easier for an observer.
Well, here at this location in the Dime Highstar location, highest down, we do have grappling classes here. We have MMA classes, and they go inside at the same time as James Presley runs the Dime Boxing. There's like a partnership. They kind of split the location. I do get a lot of training with James and my boxing, as well as my my mixed martial arts, my kickboxing, my grappling with the highest down team, Paul Booth. Exciting fight, man. I'm itching to get in there. I'm ready to, get in the cage, close the door, and fight in a brawl. They're going to see an exciting fight. They're going to see an aggressive Kevin Ferrand come out there and try to finish this fight in the first round.
There's too much to try to encapsulate in this short video. Have no doubt these young men are committed to this sport. Hours in the gym, bruising practices, humbling lessons, and astonishing breakthroughs. This is a full-time job, and some of them are waiting to see paid dividends. Whether they're riding a win streak or waiting for their arms to be raised in the cage for the first time, heart is not lost, where blood and sweat is given in multitudes. We'll marvel and cheer on Thursday. There'll be back slaps and unfortunately some consoling. But know this, they'll be back in the gym on Saturday.
Welcome to my block party. Glad you can make it.
The only triple doubles you get come with fries.
I can do this all day. Your moves are just gay.
Using gay to mean dumb or stupid, not cool.
Not cool.
Not in my house, not anywhere. It's not creative, it's offensive to gay people, and you're better than that.
$7,000 high school students drop out every school day. That's a line of desks more than 4 miles long. We can keep Charlotte students in school. Visit boostup.org and take the first step.
It's nighttime in Rock Hill, South Carolina, and the students are just getting into Modern Warrior MMA. Among them is Brad Roof, who will be competing at Elite Championship Cage Fighting 20. This will be his third fight.
I've been doing this a total actually MMA-wise, probably about 3 years. Yeah, I've been grappling maybe 4 or 5 at the most.
Right now, over the past year, Brad has collected a 2-0 record with 2 decision wins over Jason Moore and Travis Short.
Anyway, actually my cousin Travis Farrell, he's the one who got me started in this actually, and we got to wrestling around, rolling around one day, man, and I just kind of got hooked and been doing it ever since.
And being one of the younger schools in the area, family time is very important, as Brad also brings his son down to train with him.
Yeah, he likes it too. I mean, he comes up here and trains. I mean, he does. He enjoys it, and yeah, it's good, man, to have somebody. You know what I'm saying? Just. I try to get here actually maybe 4 days a week, and like on Saturdays I do some cross training like with Hyaston, AMB, Paul Booth. There's a lot of good guys up there. I mean, they help me out a lot too, and I also do some grappling with Jeremy Arell's great grappling, and he's really good, man, really good grappling coach, and but. I mean, I mainly train out of this gym. I mean, I pretty much get everything here, but it's good, to go train with different people because them guys at Hyaston and Jeremy, them guys are really good. And, that helps me a lot. It really does.
Even with all that wealth of knowledge surrounding it, the nerves, he said, sometimes even get to him, especially in his first fight.
Well, actually, man, my first fight, I'll be honest with you, man, I was a little nervous, but I guess that's everybody, you know what I'm saying? But I was a little nervous, didn't really know what to expect, I had actually trained MMA, like that much before that, and it was just kind of like, one of them things I wanted to do it, and I really didn't know what to expect, but I don't know. It was actually a good moment. It was a good moment. Anytime you win, man, you get your hand raised, man, it's a good feeling.
There's also a family atmosphere a little farther north in Gastonia, North Carolina, at Body Quest MMA, the family of the Greenway, Ashley and Alan. You would think this family combination of husband and wife would be a little awkward, but it also serves to motivate.
Well, he doesn't let me be slack, so that's always good. I never get to take a break, so he's always fussing at me.
Ever since she stepped in the cage in October, Ashley has won both of her fights. A fight up in Asheville back in October, and this past December with Elite Championship cage fighting and a Muay Thai fight.
I like it. I have fun with it. I don't ever get nervous. I stay pretty calm through the whole thing. I just like going in there and showing what I got.
Ashley has no problem mixing up with the guys. As her husband Alan explains, after being a little bit hesitant, she's almost become a natural in the sport.
I'll tell you what, my wife has been doing Muay Thai with me for 7 years. She just would not do anything. When we first started, we've been together for 10 years. We've been married for 8. And I remember when we first started, she didn't want nothing to do with it. And she didn't want me at the gym half the time. But I got her doing Thai boxing. She loved it. But she still didn't want to do jiu-jitsu like a bunch of girls. No, she don't want to roll around with guys all the time. And finally got her to do a jiu-jitsu class, and at the end of the class she said, I wish I'd have been doing this whole time. It's so fun. I can't believe I wasn't doing it. And I'll tell you what, the girl's a phenomenal athlete. People don't realize that. They don't put stock into her because she's a really pretty girl, you know, and they think she's a girly girl. I would put my wife up against some guys. We've had people quit the gym from her throwing them around. It's just, she's good everywhere. There's not a flaw in her game.
It's quite evident Ashley thoroughly enjoys what she's doing. The training, mixing it up, then getting inside the cage and letting her fists, hands, and legs go.
I think it's awesome. I wish there was more girls to train with. I train with all guys. I have one girl that trains with me. She got to come back, so it's pretty good. I hope we get some more girls in here.
Team Body Quest will churn out 2 fighters that day, Ashley Greenway and Lauren Stempel.
Fun doing that Muay Thai fight. The Muay Thai fight was fun, but I think I prefer MMA better. So I'm pretty excited that this is going to be all MMA fights.
For me, I have yet to be worried about her at all. I watch her train daily, and I make sure she trains right. We take care of everything and making sure she's working with the right people. You know, we're a fighting family. A lot of people don't know that about us around here. Both of my kids compete. They do grappling competitions. I got a 5- and a 7-year-old, and my wife fights and I fight. This is what we eat, live, breathe, and sleep. You know, this is how we make our living. And we run our gym that way. This is a very family-oriented gym. We take, you know, our kids' class goes to watch our fighters fight, and we try to have everybody walk to the cage with us. So we really support each other.
Welcome to Charlotte Sports Day. This is a premiere edition, and the star athletes are you, Charlotte, the Weekend Warriors, the men and women who play in the local park fields, whose work goes largely unnoticed by the local television. Charlotte Sports Today will do our best to bring you the events not covered by the local media. From the flag football games to the local basketball tournaments, we'll be there for those. Also the local mixed martial arts events who showcase the local fast rising stars of us. All will be seen right here on Charlotte Sports Today. While Team Body Quest MMA is looking for great support, 2 other fighters are in for a rematch. While one is getting ready to start his professional career, and the other is looking to cement his place as the best amateur fighter in North Carolina history. Shane Crenshaw and Chris Smith. Shane Crenshaw sits at a 7-1 record. The one loss being Chris Smith, who stands at 6-5.
It's been a while coming. Definitely just can't wait to get back in. Really training hard for it. Kind of had a couple setbacks, but healthy now. Shane's a wrestler. We have fought before. We fought at a Rock at the Dock. About the only thing I remember of that fight is it was about 90-some degrees, hot as all. I think we both got tired walking out of the ring, walking out to the ring.
Last time I literally trained for 2 weeks, and they just threw me in there with the only guy that would take a fight, which was Chris Smith at the time. He was the #1 contender for Fight Lab's 55 title belt at the time. Now I'm more experienced, obviously. I had 7 fights last year, and I kind of understand a little bit more about MMA as a whole. So I guess that would be the biggest difference. I know what I'm doing. Chris Smith has been a while. He's been around a while, and if you look at his record and the opponents that he's fought, he's always fought tough guys. And you can see that he has a lot of losses on his record, but if you watch the films of some of those fights, it could have gone either way. And for example, the Amos Collins fight, I believe he had earlier this year, I don't think he lost that fight. And Amos Collins is a pretty tough fighter out of Myrtle Beach, if I'm not mistaken.
And both men get some of the best training in the area. Chris Smith with Team Rock and Shane Crenshaw with Renegade Fighting Systems.
We train multiple hours every day. We've got morning, night classes. We've got professional fighters. We come in here, we're going to kick your ass. Sorry, we're going to kick your butt. We're going to, but at the same time, we're going to help and train. We don't just put a beating on someone just because they walk in and they're new. We're always trying to push everyone to the next level, and we'll make sure you're not going to get hurt.
The training here is the best thing about this place is the guys that we get to train with. Just about every weight class you could think of, we have somebody there who's a contender for some belt, whether it's a professional level or amateur. And because of that, it doesn't matter what I'm trying to work on that day, they can find somebody who can beat me up. And so when I go into these fights against somebody who weighs 145 pounds or 155 pounds, I've been training with somebody who weighs 190 that does what they do 20 times better. And you can't get experience like that anywhere else around here. I want to stay amateur as long as I can afford to. Like I told you earlier, unfortunately I'm not like a lot of guys, and I don't live with my mom and dad and stuff, and I have to work for a living, and I can't train 24/7. Most of my stuff is at the YMCA, and I come down to Renegade and spar every once in a while. And this place is awesome, but I can't get up here every day, and so that's a problem with me being able to commit to my training on both levels. If I want to go professional, I have to go all in, but I can't afford to, So, but as an amateur, I would like to take on the toughest guys between 45 and 70 and see if I can't get titles in every weight class. I don't believe it's ever been accomplished in North Carolina anyways, and I'd like to be the first to do that. Win, lose, or draw in any of those fights, this is all for experience. It's all for getting to the UFC.
I did it just as a hobby, and I turned it in hopefully to maybe some type of small career, but I would just say believe in yourself and definitely don't be nervous. There's no reason to be nervous. Just go in there and do it.
Like I said, finally getting a fight in front of Hickory is something I've been trying to work on. It was going to happen a while ago, but I ended up having to pull out of it. It's just, I can't even describe how great it's going to be and how good it's finally put a capstone on this whole amateur career.
So with this fight coming into it, and all the fights this year, you're going to see a lot more action. I'm going after kids. I'm not running away from them just because I think they're good at jiu-jitsu or whatever it is. I'm gonna engage at every level, because this year's about improvement and just setting a pace.
10 seconds.
Looking at Chris Smith right now, trying to motivate his fighter.
Chris is looking him in the eye, too. He's trying to fight Shade off. Shade is a tough guy.
At the same time, I wonder if Crenshaw's looking him in the eye, too. 10 seconds left in this fight. And it looks like we are going to the judges' scorecard.
And Shane Crenshaw avenges his only loss and picks up the lightweight championship.
Looking for these? You drive buzzed. It could be one very expensive ride.
First, you gotta make bail. Then pay me to get your car back.
Your insurance premiums will go through the roof.
And my legal fees just keep adding up. All told, it could end up costing you $10,000.
Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Do you like this top? It's so gay. Really? Yeah, it's totally gay.
You know, you really shouldn't say that.
Say what?
Well, say that something's gay when you mean it's bad. It's insulting. What if every time something was bad, everybody said, oh, that's so girl wearing a skirt as a top?
Oh, you are.
Those are cute jeans, though. When you say that's so gay, do you realize what you say? Knock it off.
Jeremy Lin, Danica Patrick, and Tim Tebow, what these guys have in common? Well, they're sort of breaking the mold as what you think athletes are. Jeremy Lin, probably one of the biggest sensations in the NBA this year. I'm pretty sure David Stern's happy about it, but was it all because he's an Asian athlete? What about Danica Patrick at NASCAR? Did she break the mold of what you think a NASCAR driver is? Joining me for this discussion is Mr. Ed Billick of Sports Chatter 101 and Mr. Pudgy Miller of KIRP Radio out there in Greensboro. Thank you for joining me there, Pudge.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. Is it me, or did this whole sensation of Jeremy Lin come about because maybe he's on a New York team and he's Asian, probably more GQ athlete more than what Yao Ming was a couple of years ago? This guy comes from Harvard. He seems like well.
You know, I think there's a couple things that are playing into this. Of course, the New York media has helped a lot.
Of course.
Number two, he was dropped. He was cut by the Rockets. He was cut by Golden State. I mean, this guy doesn't have the skills, okay? Yeah. Asian American, reminds you of Yao Ming. Harvard, a smart guy, very articulate. It just, the whole thing of getting cut by two teams that really needed a Jeremy Lin, and then he walks into New York. He gets his confidence, does he? He starts shooting and hitting the basket, and he becomes this media sensation, and rightfully so, because boy, he can put up some points. And even today, he's still a big playmaker. You know, weeks after. So unusual, yes, but very exciting.
What do you make about this whole thing, Pudge, out there? Is it because his whole backstory? Was it propped up because we know ESPN got in some trouble with a couple of their headlines on their website? What do you make of this, Pudge?
Amazing. You know how NBA has that slogan where amazing happens?
Yeah.
They ain't ever lied, because you don't ever see this, and this is something brand new. I don't think we will see it again, probably for another 50 to 100 years. I mean, it's just one of those stories that just make, you know, history. I don't even know what to explain. I don't even know how to start to explain this thing. He was everything you guys said. You know, he got cut 3 times, I think it was. He traveled the hard road, and then all of a sudden, in the big city of, you know, the Big Apple, the biggest stage in the NBA or in sports at all, he does this thing, and everybody see, you know, he does it before everybody. So Jeremy Lin, despite of what ESPN may say, despite of what all the media might go into, I think it's a great story, and I think he's a heck of a player that finally got his shot and made up his mind along with his confidence, and it's showing.
You know what was so funny, guys? When he walked in, the first couple weeks, he walked into the New York Knicks dressing room, where he arrived at, I guess it's Madison Square Garden, a practice facility. Security guards stopped him. They thought he was the trainer, or that he was a doctor here seeing one of the players. Yeah. And he had to prove himself not only to the team, but to them, no, I'm playing for you guys.
Just getting past security.
Back to the stereotypical, like, who's this guy? You know, I thought that was funny.
And for the NBA, with David Stern going through this sort of lockout year that we're in, to have a guy who came across as, you know, they needed something to come for this to happen to them. They needed somebody to lift up, give them good spirits. You know, right now we're not going to forget about money. We're just going to watch this guy in New York, the biggest show place.
Well, you know, I'm not a Knicks fan. I don't care for New York teams. Pudgy, I don't know about you. But I get up in the morning and I see how many points he has.
Yeah.
I never followed the Knicks, but I'm not so much the Knicks, of course, but I'm wanting to see what this guy can do. So I think it's adding to the fan base, and right coming out of the lockout, to your point, Chaz, we need that.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with Tebow, but he kind of just ran into this. But I think we're in a time in this country where, you know, people are either looking to put religion on the front face of everything, whether it's newspaper, because it's like the ultimate topic. It can be debated on top of debated, and then you can get the extremists, and they can, you know, they talk about it all crazy. But outside of Tim Tebow's actual playing, I think the other folks, maybe the media made such a big deal out of it. They made such a specimen out of this because I think really people were waiting for Tebow to do something wrong so they can ostracize him, but he was just a good guy, a nice guy. So, you know, when he was doing the praying and people were doing the Tebow, I just commonly think that a lot of people were waiting. You know, SportsCenter has a lot to do with this. I hate to name drop them on your show, Chaz, but I think they have a lot to do with this because they build you up, and I've always said this about any sport, they build you up so they can slowly knock you down. And they do that from everybody, from Allen Iverson, they tried it with Jordan. I mean, they do it with every single body. So with Tebow, here's a good guy who just wanted a shot, and the fans supported him because of his college days, and they knew that this guy could play football. But then they found a story about the religion piece and his religion and how faithful he was in his religion, and I personally think they made a mockery of it, and they were waiting to find something wrong with it. Well, the thing is, Tebow's just a good guy.
And thank you very much for good thing I never turned in my resume to ESPN just yet. But this seems like it's been done for a while. Muhammad Ali, I wasn't around to hear all that stuff, but he was very vocal whenever he got a chance to talk about his faith. So it seems like there's a cycle, it seems like, every once in a while where you have somebody who is very outspoken about their religion, seems to get beaten down just a little bit. And I'm a fan of Tebow. His play on the field was fair. I wouldn't say that he would be my first choice, but I like the guy, and I couldn't tell you a Bible verse to save my life. But there's something I like about him. He seems very genuine to me as an individual.
I think he's a real kind of guy. I remember growing up the whole Cassius Clay Muhammad Ali thing, and that kind of polarized. But you only had 3 networks back then: ABC, CBS, NBC. And how much time did they really devote to sports?
Yeah.
I mean, I was supply and demand with sports fans. Howard Cosell speaking. But Pudgy, what you got here, ESPN, and there were a couple days where they didn't have anything else to talk about, and they were forcing another story. And I hate to say it, but the reporter really knew nothing about football, and she was just polarizing people. So, you know, there's people in today's world, to your point, that suck into that love that. You know, get off the couch and go do something else versus getting caught up in all the Peyton place. I'm dating myself, but all the soap opera.
Yeah, that's what it is,
it's
too.
A soap opera.
That's exactly what it is.
And it's not going to go away anytime soon with all the TV networks out there. You got blogs.
Everyone has an opinion. Well, that's nice, but at the end of the day, it's not all about opinions. It's about good football, a good guy playing a football game for the Denver Broncos.
And here's an additional thing too. Like, man, I could tell you many Bible verses because that's me. I'm a Christ guy. That's what I believe, and that's just personal. And the same thing with Tebow. It's just personal. It was something he did.
Yeah.
But if you look at Karl Malone and all through history, people had these little rituals that they did, you know, before they shot free throws, before they kicked the field goal. You know, Grammatica did this thing, and it was all personal. But then they have a guy who wasn't that great in the NFL, who was a crazy story, I mean a legendary story in college, wasn't that great in the NFL, and they exploit what he do just for their ratings, you know?
Yeah.
So they're waiting for this guy who's not so great to do something so they can really talk about it. But it just so happened he got better the more they talked about it, so it kind of backfired, and it created a story. At the end of the day, though, and I believe this for a lot of religious enthusiasts, that nobody wants to talk about that all the time. We want to watch some football. You know what I mean? We just want to know what's going on with football and know some stats. I'll save that for church.
Pudgy, I'm a Christian guy as well, but I like to go watch sports to get away from that kind of stuff.
Thank you. That's right.
I mean, I want to talk to politics
you know?
and all the other stuff. That's why I love sports, because it shouldn't have any of that. And I think that was some of the problem. A lot of that came into the sports realm and still does today. But use that as a diversion. But no, I'm with you on that. Good
yeah, it's an ill intent, I think. It was an ill intent. To sum it all up, I think it was an ill intent that backfired, and it created a story, so they ran with it.
Well, I've got no intent by saying thank you guys for the conversation. Fascinating conversation.
Enjoy talking with you guys.
I love it all the time.
Thank you very much.